That's approved. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next thing is the auditor's the report, and that's going to be Venus. Yeah, Venus is going to speak for me. Great job. You guys hear me okay? I'm good.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm actually stepping in for Angela Couture. So for those who know her, just picture me a bit taller, a bit blonder, and I'll be perfect. So thank you for having financial statements for the year ended. You make sense to not working this. Oh, there we go. So we'll just go over our presentation. This is an outline of what's been completed. The audit process, the auditor's report, our audit opinion, what the management is responsible for, our statement of operations. This is where Jill will like the numbers. This is where the numbers come in. Statement of financial position, our notes to the financial statement, and also our expenditures. And lastly, there'll be a point for if you have any. So our audit process, very cyclical. Our first step is to follow up with our management letters. This is what our findings are during our audit. We prepare a management letter that gets presented to the board. Then we also start our audit planning. We do our preliminary assessment. We do our audit plan. We perform the audit. That's when we do our testing. We come to a conclusion and our reporting. Then we complete our audited statements. Then it will go to the board for approval. And then we send it to AGM. And that's where we are now. So next year, the process will start all over again. So our role as auditors is to gain an opinion on whether or not your financial statements are fairly presented based on the work that we perform. And it's based on the year that just incurred and also your assets and liabilities at a certain point in time. So in this independent auditor's report, this states the outline the responsibilities of what the management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statement. That they create a material misstatement, and then the auditor's responsibility is to express our opinion. So this is our auditor's report. As you can see, it states that we have qualified opinion, and then the basis for the qualification. Every year, because there are funds that are given to the project country, we have to qualify this because we could see the cash is going out, but once it reaches those countries, we can't confirm exactly. So that's where the qualification is, and also funding. So this is a qualification that happens every year. And then it also goes into stating what our responsibilities are for the auditors. And also because we're a society, we need to state that we're in compliance and with the Society Act, and that the basis is consistent with that every year. Our audit opinion. So there are three different types of audit opinions. There's the unqualified, stating that everything is considered accurate. Qualified, stating that there is limited discrepancies exist and they're identifiable. And a disclaimer or denial of opinion. So that states that we weren't able to find enough evidence to support an opinion. Canada Society is a qualified opinion based on what it previously stated. So management's responsibility. is to prepare a financial statement based on useful estimates, the protection of the assets of the society, and based on judgments that they have. And also the maintenance of internal control. This is a statement of operations and changes in net assets. So this is for the year ended June 30th, 2022. As you can see, your revenue was 1.9 million, and total expenses was 1.6, ending with an excess of revenue for expenses of 340,361. And your assets and liabilities as at June 30th, 2022. So this is the snapshot in time. On July 1st, things would have changed as your bank account would have, you would have paid bills and received additional invoices. So total assets of 1.7, that includes current assets of 1.4 being mostly your cash, and current liabilities, which are equal to your total liabilities of 393,418. As you can see, your current assets greatly exceed your liabilities, meaning that you can pay off your very good shape financially. As previously stated, the statement of financial position is at the moment in time. And you can see that your surplus increased from 2021 to 2022. So the notes of the financial statements are an integral part of the financial statements. They provide additional information for the accounts that are presented. So whenever you're reading financial statements and there's a note reference, please refer also to them. You need to refer to page 6 of the financial statements for the additional disclosures. Program expenditures. So program payments of 887,000, program administration of 301. Fundraising, 287,000, and general administration of 100. For your financial statement for the year ended June 30th, 2020. Anyone have questions? Sure. Okay, you're like the number.
Thank you very much.
Only me. Now we have to have a motion, this is motion to accept the July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 financial statement. And we need a person to make that motion. You? And the seconder? Marty? And is there everybody in approval of the motion to approve the financial statement? Thank you. Thanks. Okay, then the next business that we have is an election on is first to. Oh, we have to approve the auditors for the next year's year end. Which Reed Hurst and Nagy, I was going to say, I'll say about that, Nagy, who have been the auditors for some time, and certainly been doing a great job and made I felt dealing with them was really went well. And so we need a motion to approve the same auditors for the next fiscal year. If I can have somebody to make that motion.
Else yeah.
And then the next, and hopefully I got this wrong. This is the current board members who have kindly agreed to stay on and help us out for another year, hopefully a lot more. We've had some pretty good kind of extension, kind of a mix of people who are new, and I kind of mix of people who have been with Seva for many, many years. We're celebrating. And we don't have to make, do we have to make a motion to?
So do the whole,
Right.
all of them together.
All of
them together, not individually, and you have to.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have a interview, talked with, and all of the board has met in one way or another. 3 candidates that got asked to the board. And that's, there's 5. Oh, great, thanks. Yeah, so, Sanil has made it here in person if you want to speak to him, Sanil Joseph, and Bridget is, Chorus is actually doing this by, actually the names I think are backwards. Oh, yeah. No. Joining us on tomorrow's board meeting. And then we stashed Priya.
Do the full plate and then.
Okay, so we would like a motion. I recommend that these 3 new people and the original people who are willing to stay on be approved for the board.
So moved.
Thank you. We need a seconder?
Yeah.
Okay.
You already have the, give the name of the person to move.
Paul Courtright.
Oh, it's on your. And we're in the second. Oh, please,
Jeanette, and so everybody approved? Yes, thank you. Not much control over you guys. Okay. And then we Dusty Priya, Amaranth, who was with us for many years, is retiring from the board, and we want to thank her for her amazing help and insight with the board for many years. And the thing that
I don't think I need the microphone. Can you hear me well enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. My name is Penny Lyons, and I am the Executive Director of SevaCanada. Thank you for coming and welcome to our 2022 Annual General Meeting. I hope you will enjoy all that we have to bring. I really love this tagline that our Communications Director, Deanne Berman, created, 40 years of awesome, because it absolutely the generosity of our donors and the work of our program team partners, board, and staff. So first, I want to thank you, our donors and supporters, for your dedication to eliminating preventable and treatable blindness. We can't do this work without you, and we and our program partners are. It's always a pleasure to see so many familiar faces in this room, and to meet new friends who are coming to Seva for the very first time, or Seva's AGM for the very first time. I'd like to introduce to you my staff and our volunteers. First are volunteers, and if you'd like to stand up as I give your name so that everybody can clap and share. Christine Smith and Lisa Mayer, both of these women used to work for Seva, one as a program director and one as our director. So it's nice that they stay close and they're still supportive of Seva. Our current staff, Ashley Holmes, operations manager. Marketing. Katie Judson, our American cousin and program manager. It's all done with people is a refrain often repeated over our 40 years. I heard it in my very first meeting at SevaCanada from board members and staff, and that was back in 2005 when I started as a volunteer. It's more than a saying, it's really the backbone of SevaCanada. We've highlighted many over the years who have contributed so much to this organization, and in our 40th year, we want to recognize and thank those who share their skills, their time, their expertise, and their resources. So our debt is to the experts who have provided training to our programs that we did not. Training in surgical skills, teaching cost recovery methods within programs to ensure financial sustainability, teaching research methodology, and sharing human resource processes and procedures to ensure high quality, sustainable programs that reach those most in need. Our gratitude goes to our corporate sponsors and partners, our granting agencies, foundations who generously fund Seva's work and who encourage others to do the same. Our thanks go to current and past board members who have stewarded Seva with care, compassion, and sometimes brilliance. Our awe goes to the talented photographers and videographers who have captured Seva's work in the field with both beauty and compassion, so that we can share the importance of Seva's work with donors, funders, and all Canadians. And our appreciation for the office and home-based volunteers who make thank you calls, send shipments, count inventory, and keep the office running smoothly. And finally, our sincere thanks to our donors who have given for years, some from our very first year, and the donors we have just met, who will continue to restore sight and prevent blindness for years to come. Truly, it's all done with people. Right, Marty? Which brings me to my closing remarks. As of January 1st, 2023, SevaCanada will have a new executive director, Elizabeth Liz Brand. Liz. There she is. As she was earlier in her career, SevaCanada Director of Funding. Since then, Liz has taken an MBA at the Sauder School of Business at UBC, and she's currently the Director of Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at BC Women's Hospital and Health Centre. At BC Women's, Liz's key roles are accountability and human resource management. Yay, Liz. For those of you who know Liz, you will remember her fierce intellect, her dedication to excellent work, and her appreciation of the ridiculous. SevaCanada is going to thrive under Liz. Now, more personally, my 16 years of service at Seva, beside our dedicated partners and my fabulous staff, has been an honor and a privilege, and I am so very grateful for the opportunity. I want to thank 4 individuals whom I call my Seva parents. They may not like that, but that's what I call them. The first is Michelle Moret for telling me to take the job for God's sake, and for always challenging me to do this. You are doing the best job. Ian McLennan for his quiet wisdom and experience. Susan Erdman for making sure I always saw the joy in what Seva did. And Peter Nash for encouraging us to have fun while doing good. Seva has grown over the years, and we are raising more funds to treat more blindness. But what I'm most proud of is how we do what we do. We believe in and we invest in equitable programs because everyone has the right to sight. We believe in development with dignity, and we pay attention to the culture and context and local institutions of our programs and partners so that we don't create unintended consequences that are wasteful and potentially harmful. And we believe in our partners' capacity and their autonomy to create eye care programs that provide high quality care to those who need it most. While I'm stepping away as the executive director, I'm not stepping away from Seva. It's been said that Seva is like a Hotel California. I have one program. Liz, come on up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Penny, for your kind words. It is an absolute honor to be on SevaCanada as its executive director, and I am excited to be checking back into the Hotel California. I'm really looking forward to working together with all of you. It's great. Right. And I will talk about me, but first I would like to say a couple words about Penny Lyon. Because I don't think it's hyperbole to say that Penny is a force. She is a dynamic leader who is also funny and kind and perceptive and a great boss. And I had the immense privilege of being mentored by her when I was development director at Seva. And it's just amazing to see Penny's mission-driven approach coming through in everything that Seva does. Beneath everything that she did was always just a foundation of trust and respect. Trusting and respecting our donors with complete program information and transparency, knowing that they would appreciate and understand the value in the work that Seva does. Hiring great staff and empowering them to do what they do best, nurturing them, mentoring them to be able to achieve Seva's goals and charting their own path. Trusting in our program partners and appreciating that they understand their country, their people, their context, their program better than a Canadian ever could, so that when issues came up, Penny would go to them to help develop and implement their ideas and not the other way around. And in turn, showing our program partners that they could trust in Penny, that when they wanted to innovate, to do eye care better, more equitably, more sustainably, Penny would be there to help them do just that. And we have all been so lucky to have Penny at the helm of Seva for 16 years. I can't imagine Seva without her, and I'm just so relieved for me personally that we do not have to. So, having worked with Penny for 4 years, I know as well as anyone these are really big shoes to fill. So what I can say is, I too intend for the principles of trust and respect to inform the way I work with Seva staff, its board, its volunteers, its donors, and program partners. I intend to continue to focus on equity and sustainability and development with dignity. I think this is the foundation of SevaCanada work. And I guess I should tell you a little bit about me. I love to travel. I'm passionate about organizational development. And my favorite thing about work is the people. I'm from Calgary, but I've called Vancouver home for the past 20 years. And my husband Aaron and I have an 18-month-old little girl, 5-year-old boy, and they keep us very busy. Now that I've finished my MBA, on the weekends you can usually find me drinking coffee in the park somewhere in East Van while my kids go well at the playground. And for the past 4 years, I've been the director of obstetrics and gynecology at KCCO Hospital. And working in healthcare management during the pandemic has been a bit of a crash course in leadership under difficult conditions, but it is also really reinforced to me that it's such a privilege to be able to spend your time to do something that does something good into the world and improves people's health. And I think it's amazing that through Seva, all of us can use what tools we have, whether that's our time, our expertise, our donations, to literally restore blindness. It's incredible, and I'm just so hugely honored that I get to now do this as my full-time job, and I get to put together my fundraising background, my management education, and my healthcare leadership journey in service to Seva. I am just beyond honored to be taking on this role. So I would love to sincerely thank the board for putting your trust in me to help steward this organization and further its mission in 2023 and beyond. Thank you very much.
And I guess the toughest job of the day. Is hey, gosh, it's hard to remember to start. You know, we're going to talk about what we've done in Seva for 40 years. It's even harder than any have done in 16 years. But at least we had Liz to describe how effective a manager and leader in the office, knowing how to get the most out of the staff by inspiring, leading, delegating. It's really hard to be the manager and really that. And also, how he works with our program partners. It's finding that magic balance between listening and leading. It's very hard to do. And I'm sure they're going to learn to love this, but they are big shoes to fill in with our program partners. Always have our mission at the forefront. And you've always had a nose for development. Becky was an early proponent of the mission centers. One of the most important tool sheds, and we'll be hearing more about this later. Betty put a huge amount of time and energy into making them successful. And as the financial wizard she is, Betty actually guided Seva through the financial crisis of 2008, and actually was instrumental in helping bail out Seva Foundation, our American partners who got into even more financial debt. And she was also able to help us weather the financial storm when Stephen Harper, in his wisdom, decided to cancel the International Partnership Aid Program, which meant we lost considerable annual funding that we used to get from CETA. That was a huge one. And even despite that, under Penny's tenure, the budget has more than tripled. And she's overseen expansion of her programs into countries on 3 continents. Huge achievement. But then there was a great challenge, herding cats, by which I mean dealing with the board. And I think she really should have known that, because as some of you know, Penny originally came to Seva as a board member. But when it came time to hire a new executive director, Michelle, there he is. What the figure you was on. And of course, Dave Wright. And I have to say she's done astonishing about keeping us on task, organizing our meetings, setting the agenda, and generally keeping us functioning as a well-oiled machine. And he's truly the glue that has held us all together. On behalf of the board, thank you for everything you've done for Seva, for us. We've got a little something for you. Okay, now I just have to wait.
Parami Dhakhwa and Sanil Joseph. Sitting here. Our partners from, we wanted to do. So I'm going to introduce each of them. On my right, here's Paul Courtright, who many of you know. He is an ocular epidemiologist. He's semi-retired, but moving quickly towards full retirement. Maybe not quickly, but he's moving there. He first started working with SevaCanada in the 1990s, when he was on faculty at UBC. He was focusing specifically in Tibet at that time. He and his wife, Dr. Susan Llewellyn, established the Kilimanjaro Centre for Community Ophthalmology in Tanzania in 2001. And SevaCanada has also a KCCO favorite partner in listening. Paul is also a member of SevaCanada's board and the chair of the national team. This is Parami Dhakhwa. She is the program manager for Seva Nepal, and she manages both the program and the grant. Parami focuses on strengthening the capacity of the partner hospitals and centers, as well as individuals. She also helps partners identify training needs and make sure appropriate training is provided. And if that's not enough, Parami is also responsible for all the budgeted activities, ensuring that they're completed on time and smoothly. She is the point person for all of our colleague partners, quite a few of them, and is the point person for service delivery and evidence-based. And last but not least, Sanil Joseph. Sanil is a senior faculty of hospital management consultant at the Aravind Institute of Community Ophthalmology in India. He has been with Aravind 2005, and currently his major responsibility is for the anchoring health services and psychological reinforcement, consulting for capacity building of eye institutions in India and other developing countries, and designing and conducting management training programs for eye care personnel. He holds an MSc in public health from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, another degree from the University of London, another degree from another. 2005, and stepped into research under the guidance of Ken Backer. And that mentoring still continues. So we've got a list of, I've got a list of questions for them, some fun, some serious, but if you have something that you're dying to know, press your hand and we'll ask the question. But I'll get it started and then you just interrupt at any time. Okay. Oh. And why did your being in Korea make you start KCCO?
So I was in Korea from 1979 to 82. I was a U.S. Peace Corps volunteer. I was doing leprosy work. I lived in a village of leprosy patients. And what struck me was that a large proportion of my patients were blind. And so I took it upon myself to learn about eye care, and that's what led me then afterwards to go to Hopkins and do my doctorate, focused on epidemiology, and I spent quite a few years doing work on eye care and leprosy, but that's not needed much anymore, so I moved on.
Darren, how did you come to work at Seva Nepal?
So it started with my father, because he was part of the blindness service for 81. But then he did that work and left and moved on to various things. But then it was my brother's health that brought our family back to Seva, because my brother was helped by Seva in his treatment. So I'm so thankful to Seva Foundation, and that's how like I got back to Seva again.
Why is research important? In life,
That just make it action to that, I think, research is very important. Broad three things I can think of. One is to understand the problem better. We need to research, population-based studies and other types of studies, and then in order to decide on, in order to make evidence-based, what's the right solution, or when you have options to decide on what's the best one. But there again, we need research, testing, trials, and all that. And then the third instance I can think of is to measure the effectiveness of something that's already implemented, of an intervention. That's the speak of. If you do research, yes. That's why you should do research. Yeah. If you publish, you can do that.
what is, or what was your biggest success while you were in Africa?
Biggest success. I don't think there's any one single thing that jumps out. There's multiple things. I think the relationships that we established with, ophthalmologists and nurses and program partners from throughout countries in Africa has been our strength, so that, we can show up in pretty much any country and they know who we are, what we bring to the table, and, what we have to offer. So I'm proud of that. All the work that we've done and in partnership with SevaCanada related to gender, I think has been incredibly important, getting that onto the global, wave that global flag. And that's where the research also came in, because unless we have the evidence to demonstrate who's going to live, but we had the evidence, we presented it, and then I think that's been extremely useful. So I'm just going to stop at those two, because I can talk all night.
Parami, why do you think providing eye care service is an important contribution?
I personally, I believe that it's mental, physical, and spiritual health is very important for all individuals. And to be physically healthy, to have a good eyesight is very important. And because my brother almost lose sight, so I'm so grateful that we have sight. So I can't imagine for people and families, not individuals, but just also families, how difficult.
What do you see are the main challenges relating to quality, equitable eye care in your setting?
Yeah, so equity, like everywhere else, the other major equity issue is it's not just this number. Some guidelines, I think it's very important that WHO has effective cataract surgical coverage and effective. It's not just looking at numbers. What is the vision that you are pursuing? The remote vision. So that is, tighter, so it's also.
Is there any questions from the audience? Or any desire to jump in? As our three experts? I can do that.
So, in each of your areas looking at that are, what is it that limits the ability to double the goal? Is it?
I wish there was an easy answer for that. It's not just simple and straightforward. It is, obviously money is important, but it's not the rate limiting factor. A lot of it has to do with having adequate personnel, people who are trained. And when I say trained, yes, we need trained ophthalmologists, but we need trained managers. We need people trained so that they know how to access and provide a link between communities and hospitals. It really is, I mean, eye care is interesting because it really requires a huge spectrum of people in order for a program to work. You can't just say, we need another doctor out there and expect that to answer the question. It's not. So we've got to have a full spectrum of people. Yes, we have to have the money, but, you know, we really have to look at the big picture. And I would say it's going to be people is going to be the biggest thing that keeps us back from moving quickly within many countries. We just don't have adequately enough people trained to do the kind of things they need to do.
I would echo the same thing because, like, as you said, funds are very important, but it's not the only thing. To develop a system, to have trained personalities sitting there for a long time. And in countries like Nepal, even the infrastructure alone, so many things. So it's just not one thing. Okay, you give this or so. But I think, as you said, also like personnel is the human resource is the most important thing. And also nowadays the new things, the equipment used in eye care are getting so expensive, and so the whole system. I think to develop a system, it takes a lot of time. That's the issue.
Very similar. Trained personnel is one main thing. And also the demand distribution of things. More people are clustered towards the urban cities, where the problem is more in the urban cities. And that's one.
Any other questions? Marty, did you get your? Yeah, and maybe we can talk more after. What are the challenges for you working in a senior role in eye care as an ophthalmologist?
Yeah, tough question. So I was talking earlier today, like, so when I send emails, so I get response like Mr. Parami. So I'm used to it, and attending a meeting, go with my junior staff. They would male junior, but they would mostly talk to him initially, thinking maybe he is the boss. So people do not think you as a boss. So they think, okay, somebody male could be the leader. So that's the difference. And when I go to attend meetings, it's mostly men. But now females are coming up. But then in the government setting, it's still all men. don't, because of my size also, and they don't think that I am the manager. Then after I talk them, they do respect me and they like it.
Completely self-serving. Why is SevaCanada your first choice?
Actually, you mentioned it earlier, and that is that, and I think back to when we first started working with you and with SevaCanada, and that was that SevaCanada listens to what the needs were that were expressed from the field. And so SevaCanada didn't come in and say, we have money to support this, this, and this. What SevaCanada said was, what help do you need? How can we assist you do the work that you feel is necessary to do? So it was responding to the needs of the field and always trying to learn. I mean, I've worked with lots of organizations, but SevaCanada always stands out as an organization that listens and whose staff, people here in the room, go and find out themselves so that when they speak to donors, they know what they're talking about. I've worked with lots of organizations where I see people talking to donors and they have no idea what they're talking about, but they've got their talking points. And SevaCanada is different in that SevaCanada knows what it's talking about. So what the donor hears is reality, not a sugarcoat, we can solve it within the next 5 minutes. And that's what I think is extremely useful and why I like SevaCanada.
Scenario, you can jump away from you.
Not that bad. So what I can think of is experience when we did a field-based research project. It was like a population-based study to look at the eye care, potential eye care workload, annual workload in a population. So, don't have to worry about this topic. So, what happened is we had to do an enumeration of households, people in the households, and go back in after a year and see how many have used eye care, and then match it with their eye problems. That was the study. So what happened is we went to the households, the villages, and whoever was there was giving us the number of details, the number of people. So all those were brought in. And when we went back after a year, we could only find less than 60% of the people. So technically speaking, that's called the very low response rate. That makes the study very weak, technically. So then we try to understand it. So what happened actually was, the person was just giving the names of people, their children. But some of them already were in the Gulf or somewhere else working. So, and this was a great learning for us. So we just brought it on the table up and then something, but we laughed at ourselves, even if it was like a funny. So that's what.
We wanted to give you, so something you might not know is Penny loves peanuts. And so, this is a little piece that you might see. Use some books that you can import to your Oh, you're good? Oh, then I can't. So,
While doing that, what was the most unusual experience?
Time that I was stuck in the back of the truck, and something happened to our vehicle with, I don't know how many children, and it was probably 16 all squished together to get us to where we need to go and share all their food and drink and survive.
Might be operating in Madagascar. Carolina. So this should work from here. Okay. 40 years of office. It's a perfect description that they would accomplish in the challenge to show how awesome it is. I'll try. But to begin with, so am I gonna have to take it to you, or is there okay, don't put timing in. To begin, you have to understand the state of charitable life here in low-income countries 40 years ago. Most island NGOs build a hospital, which would be run by personnel from the sponsoring country and treat for free anyone who showed up. There were just a few problems with this model. The most obvious is that it set the message that only the foreigner white kin could do this work. Equally important. It's just, I'm not advancing it. Okay, just, let me put there. Equally important, it turns out that only a very small proportion here. And of course, these programs are totally dependent. So from the outset, Seva broke the mold of the traditional model. The first step was to find local partners with energy and skill to do the work, because, as Penny reminded us, it's all done with people. Actually, the full line is, as I was saying to the mirror the other day, it's all done with people. That's actually the original line. This is Dr. Paul. She was the first head of Seva's eye program for B, and he was the driving force in the early years of the eye program. Another important development was that in response to the relatively small number of people coming for treatment, the blindness survey Seva had done in Nepal had demonstrated a very large number of people blind from cataract. But where were they? It was clear that outreach was essential. And this was initiated by doing eye camps, screening camps, and even next slide, having health workers go out to find those in need of care. I'm sorry, Kendall is actually retiring. He was a chief in Nepal back in the day. Seva also had a huge impact on the quality of care being delivered. Next slide. Traditional treatment of a person with cataracts entailed surgical removal of the cloudy lens and provision of very thick glasses. This gave improved but very distorted vision. And a study that Seva did determined, next slide, that within 2 years of surgery, at least half of the people served had either lost or broken their glasses and were functioning blind again. Seva pioneered the use of intraocular lenses, IOL, which are implanted in the eye at the time of surgery to replace the natural lens. With a grant from CETA, Seva helped create Oral Lab, an IOL factory at Aravind, our program partner in South India. The IOLs were now available $5 each rather than the $250, which was the going rate at the time, now even more. Oral Lab now exports IOLs to over 120 countries. And this has we revolutionized eye care delivery in low-income countries because now everyone has access to IOL, which is crucial. I mentioned that most charitable eye care was provided free by donors. They would change the landscape here as well by developing a model of sustainability. The quality of surgery being offered was high enough quality to that people who are affluent had enough wherewithal to travel to the capital city or the nearest big center to have surgery would have it done at Seva hospital, and we would charge them a fee, and fees charged paid for by the paying patient subsidized those who couldn't afford it. And the result was that all of Seva's well-established programs are now financially self-sufficient, don't require any external funding. Offering high-quality service is also not just the key to sustainability, but also to increasing the number of people coming for treatment. It's advertising is a satisfied customer. It's like, to again take the Ravini program in the fall as an example. When Seva first started, the number of cataracts being done every year was about 250. A little more than 10 years later, over 30,000. Called growth. Seva also stands apart from other INGOs in its use of operational research. Next slide. That sounds rather dry, but here's one of the best examples of it, far from dry. 20 years ago, Seva supported a study by KCCO, where's Paul? Just met, he's the co-founder of KCCO, and the study there determined that in low-income countries, women have 2/3 of the blindness, get 1/3 of the eye care. Next slide. And this discrepancy applies even more strongly to girls. This was an astonishing finding in and of itself, and underlines something that I noted earlier, that if you just set up an eye hospital, you can't assume that everyone in need will come. The study of gender and blindness guided our programs since then, ensuring that outreach actively searches out women and children. And subsequent studies have confirmed a dramatic increase in the number of women and children receiving eye care. Next slide. And finally, I'd like to highlight another Seva initiative, the adoption of vision centers. These are freestanding eye clinics located in rural areas away from the main hospital, where local healthcare workers treat minor eye problems and provide classes, refer patients with treatments such as surgery to the main hospital. And they make their money to become financially self-sufficient quite rapidly through the provision of low-cost classes, which is a very good service as well. And the other important thing is that with this model, we're reaching just about all the people who need cataract surgery, even more than we were getting with screening camps and eye camps. Next slide. And I've really just scratched the surface, but with this list of Seva's achievements in mind, I'd like to add a quote from Sir John Wilson, who's the founder of the British INGO. He said, "People don't go blind by the millions, they go blind one tragedy at a time." I'd like to give an example of one of these personal stories. Many years ago, I took part in an eye camp. Among them was a woman blind for 2 years. She was only able to tell them. Blind by 10 days. The youngest child was just under 2 years old, and the mother had never seen his face. I operated on both her eyes, and only after that I told her story. So I was able to take these photographs of her family. I asked about her feelings. The translator told me, she said, "You have given me divine eyes." So when we think about the 5 million people sight has been restored through Seva's work, Think about all those individual stories happening, all of that awesome. And the same for another 10 million. Thanks.
If there are no other questions, please, we have food, we have drinks, we have coffee, we have tea, pardon me? Oh. Right. Yeah. Something you may not know about one of our guests, is that he's a singer. He's a famous singer from India. So, we thought that everybody needed to learn the song in Hindi. Never. So, we've got the English transliteration for the song, and you're gonna think so.
So this was, we couldn't plan in advance for this, so yesterday only we discussed, so we just selected a song. So this is like a patriotic and motivational song. They sing in all occasions, even in schools. So basically the theme is we shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. And it's very relevant to us, the problem of blindness, we shall overcome. And it says, oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. That's what is getting repeated. Yeah. So it says, honge kamyab, maybe I can just sing the first verse, and then, yeah. The verse, the Hindi verse will be coming in English. You can read as you see, whatever you see, read as it is, not like Latin. Yeah. So what do you record? Honge kamyab, honge kamyab, honge kamyab ek din. Oh, man mein hai vishwas, pura hai vishwas, hum honge kamyab ek din. Holy Mother, sorrow, holy Mother, sorrow. Nahi dard kisi ke aaj, nahi bhai kisi ke aaj, nahi dard kisi ke aaj, ek din. Oh, man mein hai vishwas, pura hai vishwas, nahi dard. Shall overcome. My heart, I will be, but that is
Thank you for coming.